And we are live on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. The Middle with Harry Mays and Barrett Brooks. Eytan expected to make an appearance at some point today. We're assuming around noon. He's going to check in and probably give us the lowdown on all his bets from the weekend.
Right.
How he did, whether he's, a plus or a minus. And I'll tell you, nothing could be a bigger minus. He could have lost every bet that he placed this weekend, Barrett, and it wouldn't be a bigger minus than the Philadelphia 76ers and their performance in this 7-game series against the Atlanta Hawks, losing 3 of the 4 home games in the series. Absolutely atrocious. We got so much to get to with regards to the Sixers today. We're going to have John Clark from NBC Sports Philly join us at 11:30. And then we're expected to hear from, after Eytan, Kevin Kincaid from Crossing Broad at 11:30. So a lot of stuff, Sixers. We'll get into the chat. We might even give Barrett 5 minutes to chat with the stream since he loves to do it so much. But we have to expose one glaring fact about the chat. Mama Brooks was in on this show at 10:53 today, 7 minutes before we come on the air, and she beat Barrett by 5 minutes.
That is
Can
unbelievable.
you explain yourself? I
can't either. I can't, man. My mom beat me on. How you gonna beat me to work, Mom? Come on, Mom.
That is just incredible. The only thing better is if one of these days this week we get both Mama Brooks and your brother in here before you. That would be something.
Well, it'd be cool. My mom, she loves me. My brother, he could give a daggone.
Yeah, you don't love you. There's no love there. But I want to ask you before we get into breaking down this Sixers loss and the whole weekend of sports. There was a lot of basketball, a lot of golf. There was a lot going on this past weekend. The two guys that I have behind me, Barrett, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid on the screen. Have we seen the last game where those two play together on the same team? Not talking about all-star games. Is this the last time they play together as a 76er?
I think Robin has left the building. I mean, he's going to have to, man. At this point, did you see? I mean, in the fourth quarter, I mean, everything's on the line. You're up by 4, and he passes to Thibault on the play underneath the goal.
Yeah, that was with 3:29 left to go, and I know that's the play that's going to stick out for everybody, and that might be the sort of the frozen in time moment of Ben Simmons and his entire career as a 76er could be maybe whittled down to that very play. Absolutely. It blew up on social media, and rightly so. I mean, he passes on a dunk that would have tied the game at 88 with 3:29 to go, and I'm like, I heard him in the post-game press conference saying, that he thought, maybe Collins or somebody was going to come up behind him. So what? You're 6'10". You're Ben Simmons. Take it up there, take it to the rack strong, and dunk the ball. I mean, I'm so glad because I know we were going to rip him today, and we're just guys, on YouTube and on the radio. But when guys like Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal rip him, that's when it's warranted. And they took him to task last night on that post-game show, Barrett. I don't know if you happen to catch that. Shaq actually said, as they were going to break, that if he was in that locker room, he'd have knocked his ass out.
No question.
Did you happen to hear that?
You're messing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. I'm so frustrated. I haven't eaten anything since last night, bro. After the 4, I didn't eat anything, man. I didn't even eat anything this morning. I didn't drink anything, man, because my stomach literally hurts like I was playing in the game. I feel like I'm too tied to this team to let this happen. I mean, I am so mad right now because, number one, Ben Simmons, aside from Ben Simmons, who the hell does this team think they are that they can go in and have a laissez-faire attitude about Game 7?
Yeah.
How do you go out there with no intensity? You didn't see it. You can look in their eyes and say that they did not want it more than that Hawks team.
That Atlanta Hawks team, I'm telling you, I admire their grit. They're tough. They're mentally tough. They're physically tough. They were not intimidated in the least bit, really, in any of these games. I mean, they came out and took it to them in Game 1, and I know Capella was getting abused by Embiid in the first couple of games, but that alley-oop game that they had between he and Trae Young is really effective. And Embiid, was getting, sort of he was caught in between. Should I go out there and defend Trae for his, the tremendous floater that he's, can typically nail? And as soon as he'd step away, boom, Trae Young throws it to Capella for an easy dunk. They killed him all series on that.
Because he has maximized and perfected that just loft shot. That just loft shot. He can loft it up there and make the shot, or he can loft it up there for the dunk.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible skill to have. Yeah. To know exactly when to do what. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I mean, that aspect of the game, but then I also look at this aspect of the game. How Collins kicked the 76ers ass by himself.
He punked them.
Excuse me, Mom, but I'm pissed off right now. What? Excuse my language, Mom. You know I don't do that around. But I'm just saying right now. There you I love that shot. I gotta go get me one.
I know where you can get it. I know a guy. I am pissed off, Barrett.
Right. Collins by himself punked that 76ers team. You can't tell me nobody wanted it more than Collins and Trae.
And Horder. How about Horder? He got killed by another ginger. Did us in. It was bad enough with Carson Wentz and his poor play and eventually leaving town. I know. He was 10 of 18 from the field. 10 of 18, Barrett.
I saw this meme, man, with him. Remember what was that show called, man? Oh my goodness, when the nerd guy with the glass, the ginger hair, and he's like a
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite.
The movie.
Remember his brother was married the black girl.
Yes,
I saw a meme with Horder sitting there laying next to the black girl like this and said, "This is what's going to happen to Horder when he gets back to Atlanta."
I think Xander was telling me about that this morning. That was a big one on social media.
Bro, come on, man. Horder by himself killed Curry, man. But you can't fault Curry because the dude's 6'7". He did whatever he could. He fouled him. He did whatever he could do. We got to change the matchup. Yep. But he killed us by himself, man. Yep. I mean, they wanted it more than the Sixers team.
Yeah, they did.
And that's a bad thing to say about a team.
They're tougher than the Sixers.
Exactly. I can see if you're undermanned or that team is just better than you are, but they were over. The Sixers were overmanned. I mean, they were the better team. They outmanned them, but got handled. They had more spirit and honor. Well, not necessarily honor, but more drive and fight than the Sixers team. And they just wanted to go out there. I mean, even if things just start as far as taking the ball from guys or doing a little extra stuff, they did all that.
No doubt.
Come on, man.
Now, did you happen to see? In fact, by the way, Xander just sent me this meme. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, no doubt. Do you think he went to what's the name of the strip club down in Atlanta? Magic City. He's feasting on some wings today. Yeah. Right, from Magic City, him and Lou Williams.
Him and Sweet Lou at Magic City right now, getting the lemon pepper wings.
No doubt about it. And I tell you, there were some other things. I mean, it was a total team loss. I know we're going to really kill Ben Simmons, and I get it. But Thibault with another brutal foul of a 3-point shooter. That's happened 2 big times. He did it with Trae Young 2 games ago, and last night he fouls Huerter in a key spot. They were down 1 at the time with 2 minutes and something left, I think, and he fouls him, and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna sink all these, and he did.
Oh, all 3 of them, man.
Yeah, just totally.
And then Embiid, the last play of the game, he bounced the ball off his leg, his foot, man. I mean,
he was trying to play hero ball at that point.
Right. I mean, he's been doing it entire season, the entire playoffs. But
I hate when he thinks he's a point guard. But in truth be told, he might be more of a point guard than Ben Simmons will ever be.
Well, if Ben does come back, I think they take him out of that capacity.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be the 4, right?
Yeah, you got to be the 4. You got to be a facilitator from the stretch forward. I mean, he has. I think he has a better game than Draymond Green as far as seeing the court, understanding what he needs to do, playing defense. He's better than Draymond Green, but Draymond Green is just a better shooter. But he has to take that capacity and and give the ball up as far as being the point guard. I just can't see it because as a point guard in this league, you got to have a 2-man game in which you can shoot, man. And he's not that guy. He just won't do it. Can't shoot free throws. Can't, he can't shoot the jumper.
Charles Barkley said it. He said he's scared to shoot.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine that?
Oh, yes, I saw it. Not imagine.
I know,
I have to
but
imagine
I'm just saying, like a player
it.
that is as talented as he is in all his other aspects, and he's got an extreme amount of talent. Okay, drafted number 1 overall. Cruised right through. One season of college, goes right to the NBA, and he's scared to shoot. To me, it's just I can't comprehend that.
What
as a professional athlete yourself, I mean, what would a similar thing be for a football player? I mean, is it like a quarterback that all of a sudden is scared to throw the football? I mean,
absolutely. Carson Wentz was scared to throw the football in fear of messing up his stats, in fear of not completing the ball. He just wouldn't throw it. He'd hold the ball so long that he gets sacked. I'd equate it to an offensive lineman blocking somebody but not being able to touch him, just blocking like this instead of using their hands. They're going out trying to block guys like this, like they did in the old days. Going like this instead of you can grab them, touch them, throw them. You're just blocking like this.
Right.
You play basketball. You grow up shooting the ball.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be a shooter.
Right. I mean,
that's what you wanted to.
It's the first thing you do after, like maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think back because I played basketball at the junior high school and things like that. I was a pretty decent shooter, standalone shooter, but I couldn't play. But that was the first thing you did when you got a basketball in your hand. What's the first thing you do the first time you get it? You try to put it into the basket, right? Whether it's like you got you're a little. Tiny little kid and you got like a 3-foot rim. The first thing you're doing is trying to put the ball into the hoop. It's just unbelievable.
Bro, he passed up a dunk.
Yeah.
To pass it to Thibault. Who ended up being double teamed.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
He can't wait. It's like the basketball on the offensive end of the court is like a hot potato with him.
Yeah.
He can't get it out of his hands fast enough. I mean, I over the course of the last couple of years since he's been here, I find myself watching games where I just watch him because I've always been hypercritical of him. Okay. And I'll watch him come across the half court with the ball. And he immediately looks to get rid of it. And then he goes down to the low block and just stands there. And he's out of the play. And it's 4-on-5. And it ruins the spacing. It ruins it bogs the offense down. And then at the end of the shot clock, there's Embiid trying to make a play like he's a point guard and, to try to get a shot off. It's not basketball. I don't know what it is, but it's not basketball. Every
once in a while, they'll bring attention, to they'll run out to Seth Curry. And then Seth got the ball to him down at the block. He was able to dunk it. Mm-hmm. If it's not transition basketball,
where he's running downhill,
he's good for nothing. I mean, he'd have to play in a system like remember UNLV? UNLV played that system where it's just run and gun, play defense to start the break, and just run and gun it. Mm-hmm. That's the only system he could play.
Loyola Marymount back.
Loyola Marymount. Exactly.
Where they were just going end to end. And here's another one while we're throwing out shade. Tobias Harris. How many layups has Tobias Harris missed?
Oh, my God.
He misses more 2-foot shots than anybody in the NBA.
He was taking it to the cup, and then it was just rolling out this time. I'm like, bro, I hate to do it to you, but come on. I mean, and those should have been made, man. They will roll in and they'd roll back out. It just wasn't for him yesterday. It just wasn't I could feel it throughout the game, and my stomach started rolling. And I mean, I felt like I was playing in my playing days. I felt like I was on the court. I felt like I was in a Sixers uniform. And that's what makes me so mad. Mm-hmm. And you know what else made me mad?
What's that?
I just went out and bought 2 jerseys.
Wait, Sixers jerseys?
Yes.
Oh, both Embiid's?
Yes.
Which ones did you get? You didn't get
red
that stupid black
blue.
One with the cityscape on it, did you?
No.
Right,
I bought the red one and the blue one.
Okay.
Thinking I was going into this going into the next round.
Yeah.
And I was going to go to a couple games. In fact, I was supposed to meet some of my coworkers from NBC. One of my producers, great producer, man, one of the best producers up at NBC, Mike Mulhern. I was supposed to meet him at Chicky and Pete's, but I couldn't because my son came down and watched the game with me. Him and his friends came and watched the game with me. Okay. But I was going out there, and I can only imagine if I'd have been out and watching this game.
Yeah, I watched it at home.
I probably got kicked out. I didn't watch it at home too, but I got
DVR'd
kicked out
too. I DVR'd it to go back and watch it today, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't stomach it. I'm like, I don't need to see this again. Now Barrett's muted.
What is going on?
I don't know. Your connection looks terrible. It's all blurry. I don't know what is happening. What went down?
Sixers rubbing off on my computer, man.
Let's. Do we need to get Amy Fadul in here to reconnect your computer? I was watching her last night. I think we should
get her on tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I was watching her last night. She was pissed off. She was upset.
Yeah. You don't understand how she's a basketball guru, man. Like,
she really don't understand.
Yeah,
she went to Kentucky.
Because she went to Kentucky, she studied under that whole, when they had the great players there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So she studied under those guys, and when she looks at you don't get a lot of because she's a point guard now on the show,
right?
So she really doesn't give a lot of analysis, but she could be an analyst, and break down games
like a Doris Burke.
Exactly, she could do that, but they use her as a point guard. Mm-hmm. But I sit back and I talk to her, and I can't wait. I'm gonna call her when we get out the show. I'm gonna call her and set everything up for tomorrow. But I'm telling you, man, she's gonna break it down to me and her husband's sister like this. And he's a guru too now. Mm-hmm. But he loves Villanova. He's a Villanova guy, man. That's all. He's a Sixers guy too. But both of them dogs sitting down and talking to them, it's just like you're on a show.
Right.
I mean, their breakdown analysis like they're on a show, man.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's great, man.
That's great. Now, the other thing that I was very disappointed in, and from the show back at the trade deadline, I was in support of them going out and getting George Hill.
Yes,
as the guy.
Me too.
I figured it was a guy they could get, and he would come in here and play a good role for them. He really disappointed me in this series. He looked really old.
He was wide open. It was times he was wide open, and he was still looking to pass. And that's where I know him as. Hill is he was a 3-point specialist. And I thought that was what his job was going to be. Now, what also pissed me off is how do you not get Maxey implemented into the fourth quarter, man? You should have started him out early in the fourth quarter so he'd have been good to go.
Yeah.
And generate some offense. That was the problem. Both teams got cold in the fourth, midway through the fourth, and nobody could hit the blind side of the broad side of a barn.
I know. What was Trae Young, like 5 for 23 or something?
Right.
But he hit the big shot when he needed to.
And
he hit that one big three,
too, man.
Yeah.
From deep in the middle of the court. He shot like 2 times before that and missed it. Bounced off. But why don't you implement Maxey? Maxey showed that he can control the game. He can go out there and generate the speed of the game that the Sixers play well at. And yet we're playing half-court ball when we should have been running and rocking and rolling like we did the last game.
Yeah.
Where was Maxey at? Why not put Maxey in? What was the deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, Doc has a lot of answering to, or a lot of things to answer to. He did not have a great series. There's no question about it. Now, I know we said that, if they lose this series, I think Eytan said they have to fire Doc, and I don't think that's happening.
No.
But the Doc, Embiid, Ben Simmons thing cannot come back. You can't run that back.
Right. You can't.
I don't know what you get for him now. He's destroyed a lot of his value that he had, a year or two ago, maybe even in the regular season, middle part of the regular season when he's, rolling up, 16, 18 points against bad teams. They could have traded him, but hindsight's 2020. We'll see what Daryl Morey does, but I doubt they bring that threesome back.
No, they can't bring that threesome back, and I think they will. In fact, I think it's going to be early. I think it's going to be an early trade. Just like if you look at the trades going on right now, I mean, look, they're trying to get Westbrook to L.A.
Oh, is that right?
Can you believe that?
He's on LeBron's list. Yeah.
Yes.
LeBron's sitting in his Beverly Hills mansion with his list, of all the guys that he's just going to reconstitute the roster with the Lakers. Maybe Ben goes out there.
Right. I mean, I think Ben could be a good chess piece out there because he doesn't have to be a scorer. They have people that can go out there and do it. Ben needs to be in a place where they could just run and gun. I think he'd be.
You can't be a max player and not give you.
Well, there lies the problem.
I mean,
right, there lies the problem.
All right, did you know that the Hawks are just the third team in the current playoff format, which has been in existence since 1984, Barrett, to make the conference finals despite having a losing record at the All-Star break? The Hawks were 16-20 at the break.
Wow.
How about that? Enter Nate McMillan. Yeah.
Right. How about this? How about they didn't even have Hunter?
I know.
What if he was there?
I know. Because then you have Herter coming off the bench.
Right.
And he and Gallinari and Lou Williams, that's a nice little, offensive punch coming off the bench. Nate McMillan is also the 7th coach in NBA history to take a team to the conference finals during a season in which he became the head coach during the season. The previous 4 that also did it, Ty Lue with the Cavaliers. You remember that back in 2016. Yep. Pat Riley did it twice, once with the Heat in 2006 and with the Lakers back in 82. And Paul Westhead in 1980 with the Lakers when they beat the Sixers. All led their teams to the NBA championship. Man.
Bro. And, Adam, that's what you're right, man. He just got – I think that, Doc was over his head. He got out-coached. I mean, he got – personnel wasn't right all the time. And you're in the playoffs, it has to be right. There's so little of margin of error that you can't afford not to make the right decisions. That's what got Andy out of here. Andy's last 3 years, he wasn't making the right decisions as far as in-game timeouts, in-game, all this stuff. So he corrected them. Won a championship, was in the last Super Bowl, but you can't do that, man. You got a small amount of time to maximize your potential as a team. This team was good enough to make it to the NBA Finals. They were good enough, and
they should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they're good enough, and I really think that coaching had a lot to do with them not being able to get there. Yeah. A lot has to do with, Ben, we'll say that, but I really think that coaching was definitely a huge issue the last 2.5 games.
And how much of that is Ben, and how much like Doc had to sort of like coddle. He's not only coddle, he coddles him and sticks up for him in the post-game pressers. And I get why he has to do that, or why he feels he has to do that. But you're sort of coaching around his inefficiencies.
Exactly.
I mean, it's 4-on-5 every time you're in the half court on offense.
And you can't situationally play like that. You can't have a player out there that's not going to give you things from an offensive standpoint. Mm-hmm. And it has everything to do with the demons that he has in his head. I mean, he was mentally gone the last 2.5 games. Ben was mentally gone. He was not there. And he admitted it himself. That's one thing about the top tier athletes. They can turn it on and off when they need to. But more times than not, it's harder for them to turn it off than it is to turn it on. You look at Jordan never turned his off. No. He was so competitive. He was betting, he's betting.
Well, we can't even bring him up. It's like, comparing golfers to Tiger Woods. You just can't do it.
Exactly.
But like Dom Lewis on the stream says, if you're getting beat by Kevin Herter, you deserve to lose. He's right about that. No disrespect to Kevin Herter. He's a nice shooter, but my God.
Right.
He says, if I'm going to lose, I'm losing to Trae Young, not Kevin Herter.
Out of that. That's it, man.
Yeah.
But, once they saw how hot he was, why not make an in-game adjustment? Put Ben on him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Put Ben on him. I know you needed Curry out there to shoot threes for instant offense. But sometimes it's better to stop the bleeding first, then put him back in. because he was unstoppable. He wasn't doing anything one-on-one.
Now we got a new member of the stream here. I'm seeing this, Barrett. Brigadier X Pira, Pira, says a 47-year-old Iverson would ball out on Ben Simmons. You buying that? Oh boy. This connection is terrible.
Bro, I can't take anything from Iverson right now.
Yeah, right. Iverson right now.
Messed up.
47 years old. Is he 47?
I can't believe that he is 47. Well, yeah, because I was in the league.
Wow.
I was in the league a year before. I got drafted in 95. He was drafted in 96, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then he came to the league early. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. 2 years at Georgetown. I think it was 96. Yep. It was his draft. But man, that's incredible. I'll tell you. Now I am so I feel so empty, Barrett, because I really thought that they were going to get us into the Eastern Conference Finals. I didn't know if they were going to be able to win it. Probably not. But I wanted 6 games against Milwaukee to talk about. Get us into early July.
And I thought we were better suited to beat Milwaukee as opposed to beating the Nets.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, all right, this is made. It's a match made in heaven. I mean, we're going to roll through this. This is why this team was supposed to, make it to the finals, because everything fell the way it was supposed to fall.
I know. You think about it. The Wizards, the Hawks. I mean, that's a pretty doable. If you're sitting there saying, 2 months ago, hey, you're going to only have to beat the Wizards and the Hawks to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. You're thinking, we're there. Right?
But then you look at the big three at the Nets. You're like, all right, yeah. So then you're thinking, all right, we got you got the big three with the Nets. I hate to do it to you, but they're not beating KD, Irvin. They're not beating those three.
But then you get Brooklyn without Kyrie. Yeah.
Right. But then they get knocked out. But and all the Sixers have to do is just win now. Just win, baby, win.
Right.
And we're playing against a team that I think we have better suited for.
We're going to take a timeout. We're going to be joined by John Clark. We're supposed to be joined. He is scheduled to appear, as they say in the business. When we get back from NBC Sports Philly, maybe we can get out of him what he thinks they're going to do with Ben Simmons, what kind of value he might have, and a whole lot more Sixers related with John Clark. When we return, you're listening to The Middle right here on JAKIB Media Sports YouTube channel. Harry Mays and Barrett Brooks.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
Attention women of South Jersey and the Delaware Valley. Sign up right now with Our Lady NRA instructor, Nayara Andrzak, who will teach you gun safety as part of this 3-hour safety class, which is being held at Delaware Valley Sports Center in Philadelphia. For information, drop an email to info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. That's info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. Learn the fundamentals at Delaware Valley Sports Center. You can't miss.
Are you looking for a place to track your action, purchase picks, and share your sports betting analysis with the gambling community? Check out Book It Sports, a social media platform with an unparalleled experience catered for the sports betting community. On the Book It Sports app, you can track all your NFL, NBA, and college basketball picks while getting real-time updates and injury reports all in one convenient place. Start building your following today and stand out amongst your friends by downloading the Book It Sports app on the Apple and Google Play stores. Let's cash some tickets and put it on Book It.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. Doc and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at IBEW98.org.
All right, welcome back. JAKIB Media YouTube channel. The Middle with Harry Mays and Barrett Brooks today. We got no Eytan. Eytan is on baby watch right now. And we're looking to check in with Eytan hopefully around noon, find out how his betting went for the weekend and to see what the update is. I know Barrett is very interested in this whole baby situation. Those are the only texts that he sent out to the group for the entire weekend. But right now we're going to bring on our buddy John Clark from NBC Sports Philly. He's got the fantastic podcast Take Off, which is just rocketing up the charts wherever you get your podcast. And he's joining us from his automobile again because he's always on the move. Now, where are you right now, John? Welcome to the show.
I'm getting ready to go to a workout. Didn't really sleep that much last night, trying to wrap my head around everything that happened. So trying to burn off some bad energy, bad vibes in this city today. It's bad, isn't it?
It really is. They ruined Father's Day, which is really a shame, John. But a question, since you just brought this up, how long does it take you to sort of decompress after a game when you get home to be able to go to bed? Because, doing the job that you do, I've done similar things, not what you do, but it takes me a couple hours just to be able to get tired to go to bed.
Yeah, I left Wells Fargo Center probably about 12:30. I got home and NBA TV or TNT had the replay of the game, and I wound up watching the second half. Man, is that torture. But, you really kind of, you're trying to make sense of it all. You're trying to say, why did the top seed in the East, why did the team with the best record in the East lose this game to Tom McGinnis was on our show last night. He said it perfectly. It's like the Atlanta Hawks jumped the line. The Sixers were building every year to get to this point, and it's like the Atlanta Hawks just jumped right ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
The younger team right now, they're built with shooters. That's what this league is about right now. That Atlanta team, man, I was thinking they were the worst team in the playoffs, but they definitely showed me something, man. I mean, they were well-balanced. They had a killer instinct. They wanted it more than the 76ers team. Yeah. And when I look at the roster and look at the roster that we had over this season, there's no way this team shouldn't be playing in the finals. The way they were built, the way the cards lined up, and me and Harry were talking about it. I mean, you look at it. We're going in the East. We're going to play the Wizards. Then we play the Hawks, and then the Nets get beat, who I thought were the best team in the league. And we have it right there. Just it unfolded for us, and we do this. How is a team? When you look at that team, how does a team go out there and play with such a laissez-faire attitude in a game 7?
I think there were certain points during the game where they got tight, felt the expectations, the weight of expecting to do this. The city expected them to do this. I mean, Tobias Harris, I give him credit for battling because you saw him battling. But man, he missed so many layups, and I think that's tightness. The true superstars in the NBA, they show up in the biggest moments when the game is on the line. And when I went back and watched that fourth quarter, yes, I think it is extremely difficult for a team to basically play 4-on-5 with Ben Simmons shying away from just about everything offensively. And
right.
Court, not even on the court with a minute left. Then I looked at other moments where, of course, Joel Embiid, the big moment with a couple minutes left or less than a couple minutes left where, he had the turnover in the post.
58 seconds.
He had 8 turnovers in the game. Matisse Thybulle, fouls a 3-point shooter. And I saw Doc Rivers' reaction to that on the sideline. He couldn't believe it. There were so many things that happened, but, I think overall, Joel, yes, 8 turnovers was terrible. And the last 3 or 4 games, he did not perform greatly in the second half as far as finishing and getting shots to go. And obviously he wasn't himself, because I think he would have been banging in the post more and tried to just dunk more and get to the rim more instead of settling for fadeaway jumpers or things like that. But, look, some parts of this team are young. I think they miss Danny Green, especially when Seth Curry has to defend Herter. I mean, that really was a sore spot for them last night. But overall,
wow, you're right.
Look, overall, I mean, Ben Simmons, you cannot have a point guard or a max player that is literally afraid to shoot or shying away from anything to do with the basket. And of course, everybody's talking about passing up the dunk. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think of other sports. Is it like DeMarco Murray running out of bounds and doesn't want contact? I mean, Philadelphia will not stand for someone who is shying away from something. If I'm Ben Simmons, and look, I know it's in his head about the free throws, but I would have said to him, don't worry about it. If you miss free throws, you know what? We'll live with that. But you need to attack the basket. Continue to try to go to the rim, attack the basket. Don't worry about getting fouled. That's the thing Philadelphia cannot stand.
Yeah, and I saw on your Twitter here, John, follow John on Twitter, at J Clark NBCS. The Sixers are the first /1 seed in the NBA to lose 3 home games in a series within the first 2 rounds since the 1968 76ers. Wow, that's some history. How did that team is so good at home, John? They lose 3 games to the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, how does that happen?
I know, it's really inexplicable, and that's why I stayed up through the night just watching the game again. It's really hard to understand. I mean, how does a team that showed so much offensively against the Wizards and really the first part of this series against the Hawks, how do they disintegrate like that offensively? And there were so many different lineups, and you probably went to the bench a little too much. Okay, I understand Joel Embiid is playing on a small tear of his meniscus, and I really do think that affected him in the second half. Maybe some conditioning as well. But when you have an injury like that, during a game, it's probably going to wear you down. And you're playing on one leg, maybe in the second half because of playing all those minutes, and you see how much Joel is sweating in the second half. So, look, it's stunning because the Sixers and Ben Simmons, really, they're a great regular season team. But we have seen this with Ben Simmons going back 3 years ago in the Celtics series, where they did such a tremendous job on him defensively and almost dared him to shoot. TJ McConnell came in a couple games and did a better job. 2 years ago, they gave Jimmy Butler the ball in the Toronto series. And then last year, Ben's not in the playoffs, of course. And then this year, I asked several NBA people who have been around forever. I'm like, can you remember a time where someone, a point guard on a team, was so afraid and tentative to shoot? And I actually called Sports Radar, sports information company, and I asked them about taking only 3 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter in a 7-game series. Yeah. And there's only one other starting point guard in a 7-game series over the last 25 years who's attempted that few shots. And it's Eric Snow in the 2006 playoffs with the Cavs. Ben Simmons is a max player. Wow. He's an all-star. It can't happen. You need to improve in those areas instead of going backwards.
My big thing here right now, man, is the players play. But, I mean, Doc has a lot of accountability in the way he used situational basketball, putting players in, leaving players in, taking players out. And Ben Simmons playing the way he's playing, but not putting in Maxey after he showed you some of the last couple of games of how he can get this team sparked, get them going, get them a little attitude in the game. They lack attitude and intensity in this game a lot of the time, especially in the fourth quarter. Why wouldn't he take this young guy who doesn't know that he's not supposed to be this good and allow him to go out there and try to ignite this team a little bit? I mean, start him early off in the fourth, so if the game won't be too big for him at the end of the game. I didn't see enough Maxey in this game at all to really, give me a good sense of, all right, Doc knows what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and obviously they want Ben Simmons to defend Trae Young, of course. I agree with you. It would be a fascinating thing to see if you could go back and play that game with Maxey in the role of point guard. The job of a point guard is to create scoring, either by passing to someone or you score yourself. Whatever is the best way to create scoring, and Ben Simmons did not do that. And
like CP3 just did, CP3,
right?
Yeah.
And you're right about something. The thing that I didn't notice when I was watching the game from our press seats, when I watched it again, 2 a.m. or whatever, is the body language of the benches or the team when they were in timeouts in the fourth quarter. You saw Gallinari and other Hawks just in each other's faces, firing each other.
Yes, height.
The Sixers were sitting there like they were going to lose, like they knew it was inevitable. And that, the psyche, and look, I can't say this for sure. I had a couple people on my podcast recently who talked about when you go through a process and you try to lose, it is so hard to then teach young players how to win. So, look, I'm not saying that happened, but you went through some years of a really tough process. And really, Ben Simmons was not there for a lot of it, right?
Right.
Joel and Ben were injured. But, it's like Doc and Daryl Morey coming in here, you have to create a new culture.
Right. That's exactly what it is, culture. That's what it is.
Where these guys are, believing they're going to pull out a game like that. That game was so winnable. When Trae Young is 1 for 12 in the first half and 5 for 23 in the second half. I'm sorry, in the game. That is a winnable game and a game you should win on your home floor.
No doubt about it. Now, he did hit the big shot with about 2.5 minutes to go, like great players do. But yeah, if you're going to say, hey, Game 7 is at home and Trae Young's going to shoot 5 for 23 from the field, you're thinking easy Sixers win. Book it. We're playing Milwaukee. Let's go. Unbelievable. John, I know you had Dirk Nowitzki on the podcast recently. Now, did you ask him anything specifically about the Sixers? And do you think Ben Simmons will be back? What was Daryl Morey thinking while he's watching that game unfold last night?
Well, Ben Simmons obviously was almost traded at the trade deadline. And, who knows? Maybe the Rockets didn't want to trade him to the Sixers. Who knows? The Nets gave up more, but he was almost traded. And I think after seeing this team for a year, they're a great regular season team. But in the playoffs, if Ben Simmons is not a threat to shoot at all or score, which is stunning because obviously during the regular season, you'll see it's like Jekyll and Hyde. Some games he's very aggressive to get to the basket, and then other games he's shying away from it. And Doc Rivers had to tell him in Game 3 to be more aggressive. So, there's like a mental block or a tentativeness that needs to be solved, or else he can't be here because you can't win a championship like that. His inability to be a threat offensively, I think, is the major thing holding this team back. And, interviewing Dirk Nowitzki for the podcast, obviously, we're so impressed with what Joel Embiid has become. He improved so much this year. And it is a shame, once again, that he is not fully himself with this injury. But Dirk said, because Dirk being a bigger man, 7 feet tall, that he had to learn better ways to get his body right and ready for a season, better conditioning, to take care of his knees and things like that. And Joel is probably going to have to do a little bit better with that. He improved his conditioning this year, but it probably needs to be improved more. And it's tough for a guy that size.
Yeah.
But whether it's the injury or the minutes, he did not produce the same way in the second half of games. I believe he had 17 turnovers in the last 2 or 3 games in the second half. and was not able to make his shots in the second half like he did in the first half. So, I think those are some big things. And look, the NBA is like every year young players learn, okay, wow, I got to do better in this. You saw it with The Last Dance and Michael Jordan getting beaten up by the Pistons. But Ben and Joel are going to have to do those things, and Ben Simmons is going to have to take this a lot more seriously.
You're right, man. You're absolutely right, man. When you pass that threshold of you're 6-something, you do have to continue. You have to condition yourself differently than most. You can't go out, man. When I was playing, I played O-line, so I'm 6'5.5". At the time, I was weighing 340 pounds. I would not condition like they, condition little wide receivers and DBs. It's more of a grind on your body than it is, if Maxi's out there conditioning. So you have to learn how to play the game, play within yourself. Stop running after a lot of those, those balls that are hitting the ground. Stay off the ground a little more. You have to play your body. You have to use your body differently. It's just like in a quarterback when, they're out there, learning how to slide as opposed to taking the hit. Those are things that Embiid has to do. But what I did see from Embiid, though, is a killer instinct that I didn't see in the rest of the team. Talking about culture. I think that's a big, big, big thing that, you're right. We haven't talked about, a winning culture being a locker room. Like Cleveland has been Cleveland. They're learning a new culture. And that's why I thought Maxey should have played more because
you're talking about the Browns.
Yeah, Browns.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about losing teams, the Browns. But when you think about a guy like Maxey, and then you look at Shake, those guys don't know about that losing culture that's been in that locker room. So maybe it's time that, these younger guys get an opportunity to start playing more and doing more. What are the chances, that changing the guard and Ben Simmons is out of here?
Yeah, and look, Danny Green comes from winning cultures, winning the last several NBA championships, and he's won 3 of them. And that was a big loss on the court. Once again, to be able
he'd have stuck Horder. Yeah, he'd have stuck Horder.
Yeah.
He'd have stopped that.
Yeah, and I think the little holes on this team were exposed. They don't get exposed in the regular season. They get exposed in a playoff series when the other team can really see you up close and say, okay, this is one of their weak spots, and we're going to attack it.
Right.
It's Daryl Morey. There's a lot of work to do here.
No question.
To get them over the hump. And, you just worry that they had a tremendous opportunity here with the path that Barrett Brooks laid out. That you hope 5-10 years down the road, you don't say, wow, that was their best chance.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, hopefully not. But it's interesting, John, and I'm sure you know this already, but the Atlanta Hawks went to the Eastern Conference Finals back in 2014-15 with a totally different roster. They had Paul Millsap was on that team. Al Horford was still really in his prime. Jeff Teague, Bazemore, and a whole different group. They got to the finals, lost to Cleveland, and realized that they maxed out that roster. They had to start making some changes. They totally changed the roster, and now I've gotten back, 7 years later, without tanking. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
Different process.
Right. Totally different. So the process, it's basically netted us Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. The whole thing with Ben Simmons and shooting, when you bring him into the NBA, expect that he is going to get better as a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brett Brown, who obviously was not a head coach before, he tried to implore Ben to shoot. He even said publicly, I want him to shoot 1-3 a game. I want him to shoot a jumper. I don't care if his agent, his father, he hear it. I want that. Elton Brand, going into 2 different seasons, says Ben is going to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to shoot this year. I remember that video that Ben posted from working out in California before going into the bubble last year. He said, watch out, this is coming to Orlando, and he was shooting.
Mm-hmm.
It is incredulous that he has gotten worse as a free throw shooter and that he still will not shoot. the number one thing a basketball player does when they get out on the court, right? When you're a kid, the first thing you do, you don't stand there and take a charge from a ghost. You go out and you shoot the ball.
Right.
We just talked about that too. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it stunning that at this point we are talking about this?
That's crazy.
Now, Doc Rivers came in and said, well, it didn't really work with Brett and Elton Brand trying to push him to shoot. So I'm just going to back off and I'm going to say, Ben, you do everything that you're comfortable with and that you do best.
Yeah.
And that hasn't worked either because in these playoffs, it was all exposed.
You can't do that, man. You know, and you know, looking at hindsight right now, and you know, I remember, you know, we were in the same shop, and we were talking about, you know, the difference between Ingram and Simmons, and we saw a facilitator, and then we saw an all-around basketball player in Ingram, and you know, as a city, we wanted Ben Simmons. Hindsight, looking back, man, look at Ingram now. Look at Simmons now. You know,
yeah.
What would you like? I mean, which guy would you like? You know, now
I'd like Jimmy Butler. You know, I had Jimmy Butler too. You know, you could have kept him.
Right.
I hear you. I mean, I just, you know, you see Ben Simmons in warmups, and he practices all of the different jump shots. He shoots the three. He practices all that. Why are you practicing that every single game, pregame, and you don't bring it into the game? Just the threat of him taking a shot helps.
Well, even if you don't make it, it,
the threat.
Right. You know, and that's it. You have to be able to at least make them think about it. You know, I was looking at, you know, Charles and those guys on the set. What made Charles so dangerous, not that he was a three-point shooter. It's the fact that he had the galls to go out there and shoot it if you just leave him wide open. Then once he hit the three-point arc, they're not looking for him to do anything but drive. So they sag off of him. He's just worthless at that point, you know, in the game when it comes to offense. And I don't see how you can go on at this point, go forward with Ben and not understand this is all you're going to get. He's not going to get better from this. He doesn't want to get better from this. So how do you go forward with Ben? You can't do it.
Woo. Man.
That's a lot.
Seriously.
How about Shaq last night? How about Shaq last night, John? Did you see that? He unloaded on Ben. Said he would have knocked his ass out if he'd have been in that locker room.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't go forward with this. You can't. I mean, I was on teams where, okay, they were a run-oriented team. I was a pass blocking offensive tackle. You know, so I had to go.
Right.
They brought somebody else in, and I had to leave.
You weren't a fit.
Right.
Yeah.
So certain players don't fit certain schemes. How does Ben, fit this scheme going forward?
Yeah, that's Daryl Morey's job to figure out. We got to let John go. He's got a workout to get to. We appreciate 20 minutes with John Clark. Follow him on Twitter at JClarkNBCS, and make sure you take in the Takeoff podcast. He's got great guests coming up, each and every week on that. Thanks so much, John.
John, how do you say, you don't say, he's going to play tennis right now. So you don't say hit him straight because you guys curve it and everything else. So I'll just say, make sure you hit it with the racket, bro.
I'm going to take the shot.
Yes, right. He will shoot. He's not afraid. Okay.
I might miss them all.
That's okay. But that's okay. So,
serve it up, bro. All right, JC, I'll holler at you, bro.
Thanks, John.
See you guys. Keep up the good work.
There he is. Yeah, he's a must follow on Twitter and Instagram too. His Instagram
he's got everything, man.
On point.
Yeah, but I can't do that, man. He's on everything at every point. He's here. He's there. I'm like, you do too much for me, bro. Way too much for me.
Everywhere you need to be as far as Philly sports, he's there. You can pretty much guarantee that.
What it was who was that? It was Golden Tate. When Golden Tate was first coming here.
Oh, he was at the airport, right?
So he calls me up, say, Brooksy, I can't make it, but I got a reliable source saying he's coming in at this time. Could you go take care of that for me? So he gave me a plug, and I was the first person to interview Golden Tate because
he gave you the heads up. Oh, wow. Wow.
He couldn't do it, but he sent me to go. He said, "Hey man, grab a cameraman, go over there." So I called him, grabbed a cameraman, met him out the airport.
That's awesome. So how does that work? You just call in to NBC Sports Philly and say, "Hey, I need a photographer."
Yeah.
And there's just some guy hanging out waiting for a call.
Bro, it's so bad that they said this. I said, "Hey man, I'm going to interview Golden Tate. I need a camera." He said, "Well, are you sure? Who told you this?" I said, I got to go through all this. I'm saying, John, you'll tell John to do this. They were like, oh, John must have told you. I'm like, yeah, John told me. Art is already coming.
Oh, okay. So the fact that John Clark's name was attached to it gave it credibility that it was actually a thing that was going to happen. They didn't believe you.
Myself. Yeah, I didn't have to juice myself. I had to go with JC's juice instead. You know what I mean?
No good. Wow. All right. Yeah, the stream wants to know about this shirt again.
I am pissed off.
Yeah. Now, this was when I was doing the show with Bruno last year. There was one of the shirts that we sold on the website.
Okay.
And we actually stole the idea from another guy who was actually a listener. And we stole it because that's what you do. I forget his name. I do, but we acknowledged it on the show that we stole it.
Well, you're the person I heard say it, though, bro.
I said it, but he actually made a T-shirt that just had the P word on it. But we added the I am and the off and then my signature. That's what we did. So we pilfered it.
Oh, well, man, that's great work by you, man, because you're the one that coined that phrase right there.
Yeah, and it's really not.
You got to have your finger with, I am pissed because I can see you in the radio, but people don't understand the expression when you're doing it. I got all the emotion and everything when you said it. So yeah, I've seen it in action.
Right. I think I was on with Baldy when I did it the first time, where they made the drop out of it, the sound drop. It was after an Eagles loss, I'm pretty sure, on like a Monday or something. And I was just, I was just venting. That's all. Sometimes that's what we do here, Barrett. But we got Eytan hopefully coming up in a couple of minutes to give us an update on his wife and he expecting their first child. He had a big Father's Day. We got to catch up on how that went. And with Barrett, I want to hear about your Father's Day too. I am not a father. Yeah. I am not the father. But we'll have to get your Father's Day. And then we got Kevin Kincaid, the great Kevin Kincaid from Crossing Broad, coming up at 12:30. Right now, we're going to take a brief timeout, and we'll be back at the top with more of the middle right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube page. Give us a like, man. Press like.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
Attention women of South Jersey and the Delaware Valley. Sign up right now with Our Lady NRA instructor, Nayara Andrzak, who will teach you gun safety as part of this 3-hour safety class, which is being held at Delaware Valley Sports Center in Philadelphia. For information, drop an email to info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. That's info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. Learn the fundamentals at Delaware Valley Sports Center. You can't miss.
Are you looking for a place to track your action, purchase picks, and share your sports betting analysis with the gambling community? Check out JAKIB Sports, a social media platform with an unparalleled experience catered for the sports betting community. On the JAKIB Sports app, you can track all your NFL, NBA, and college basketball picks while getting real-time updates and injury reports all in one convenient place. Start building your following today and stand out amongst your friends by downloading the JAKIB Sports app on the Apple and Google Play stores. Let's cash some tickets and put it on JAKIB.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. Doc and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at IBEW98.org.
All right, we're back. JAKIB Media YouTube page, Fritz and B and Cooley Studios, the middle with Harry Mays, Barrett Brooks, and you're saying, where's Eytan, man? What's he doing? Typically, we have heard, already about his entire weekend and all the bets that he had in, and the live in-game action that he took part in. So we're gonna have to fill that extra time, Barrett, with a whole lot of content. Eytan uses up a lot of content with his gambling,
right?
You know what I mean?
It comes in the most inopportune times. Also, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could be in an intense conversation about this, but but I had this is end game,
right. He's looking at a line for a tennis match in Berlin that's about to start, and he's got to get in on it. It's just hilarious. But did you see? Hopefully, we'll be joined by him in a few minutes, and we got Kevin Kincaid coming up at the bottom. But did you see Ben Simmons' Instagram post last night after the game?
No, I didn't.
He got, as I'm looking at it here, over 47,000 likes at the time. I'm sure that's probably double by now. Joel Embiid says, Philly, in all caps, I love you. Sorry to disappoint you again, but just know that I gave everything I had, knowing the circumstances. If there's one thing I've learned being here, it's the, all caps, toughness this city has, and that's why I played with a torn meniscus. And then he's all caps again. Thank you for your support all year long. I will always appreciate y'all.
I see it now.
You
know what? No, I'm not even gonna do it.
What?
I hate to do it to you, but that's not enough. We ain't letting you off that easy. we want more from him. We need it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
The reason we need more from him is because we don't get anything offensively out of this guy. And Tobias Harris misses like 5 or 6 layups.
And that, but during that time, both teams were missing shots. You know what I mean? That they were missing layups, we were missing layups. But I really thought once they had a 4-point lead, that was the point where you have to, put the stake in. That's when you're supposed to just nail it down. That's when you close the game out.
Right.
And how do you as a team learn how to do that? Well, it takes learning how to be a champion. This team does not know how to be a champion.
No, they don't.
It takes the culture change for them to do that. And sometimes with that culture change, personnel has to change. I know when I played here in Philly, my first 2 years, and we were pretty good. Went to the playoffs both years I was here with Ray Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, we went back to the old culture of what it was before then. It was a Buddy Ryan culture where you just wanted to go out there and beat up on everybody, but you were still losing. So it really didn't make a difference. I go to different teams. I go to the Lions. Lions losing culture.
Right.
I had to leave there and get this stank off me.
Well,
then I go to a winning culture with the Packers.
Let me get back to the Lions, because there's other teams like them in sports. We could pick them out in the various big 4 sports. But it's amazing how teams like that, franchises like that, will go through head coaches, general managers. It's just like a constant changing of the sort of the executive management, if you will.
Kind of like what's going on here right
years. Now? Yeah, it can happen here. It's happened here in the past too, right? But I'm just saying, but the Eagles have had a winning culture.
Yep.
Even with Andy Reid, they had a winning culture. They just didn't win the ultimate game. But how is it that you can change all of those components all the time and still maintain the losing culture? Like when you went to Detroit, what was that? How did you feel? Well, we felt it when you were there, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the players that were there also. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't get right, and that's the way you felt. Look at Barry Sanders, greatest back to ever play the game, but just couldn't get right. His expectation was, all right, no matter what I do, how many yards I get, we're still going to lose the game.
Right.
You know
amazing.
what I mean?
Oh, there he is. Look at this. There he is. Shander Show, at Shander Show on Twitter. His connection doesn't look that great. Oh, there he is. He's got the mask off now.
Shan, what's up, bro? Tell me something good.
Uh-oh.
Look, I can tell you this. The connection is not great at the hospital. So I've already missed 2 teams, and I'm not happy. All right. We are at the early stages right now of the process. Like we're out. Here's the thing. Ben Simmons might get traded
before your kid is born. Oh my God, that's unbelievable. So in other words, this could be a couple of days in the making. Barrett, he told us 48 hours, and she was going to be in and out of there in 48 hours. Remember?
Yeah. Well, at this point, you know.
No, I said
little.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Jeez, I hate to do it to the hospital. Right. This hospital Wi-Fi. We have found a worse Wi-Fi than Barrett Brooks's house.
Right. I had to get wired back in. I just noticed my grandson was messing with my computer.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. So now, I just got the hard line again, so I plugged it back in as hard line. Yeah. But it was just on, because he'll take it somewhere and did somewhere, so I didn't have a hard line. So now that I got it back hard line, I'm good now.
Okay.
But yeah,
we're gonna stand by with Eytan. We'll try to get a better connection. But yeah, your connection looks better now. Now that you bring it up, here he comes.
All right, I should be a little bit better right now.
Sounds better.
A lot better.
All right. So we're at the very, 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 like, she's not even in labor right now. We're in induction, stuff like that. So
she still likes you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I slept on that makeshift bed, I got this thing, so I get to walk around free, going into any room I want with this thing. It's great. Right. I'm living off, I'll tell you, because we got here late, the cafeteria was closed. So I'm living off of these things, these peanut butter and jelly Crustables. These are money, man.
Are they?
Yeah, let me tell you something. You pop a couple of these and then a couple of the others.
Well, you also get free ginger ale there also, man. So you got to take advantage of that, bro.
Well, yeah. So she's on clear liquids. So she gets this clear tray. And it's like water, it's ice chips, it's ginger ale. They can't, it's like ginger ale. They have more ginger ale than anything in this hospital.
Right.
I need to bring the Jim Beam over.
Like, what? Yeah, seriously. Like what your mom or your grandma used to say, oh yeah, just drink some ginger ale, baby. Like that shit is real. Like this is what they're curing everybody with here.
Well, I drink ginger ale basically every night with my bourbon, so I'm pretty good then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like mixing your booze with Gatorade. You won't be hungover the next day.
Bro, I told you, that's why I said Gatorade. Ginger ale, man. That's all I have, man. But hey, at this point, what are the odds right now? 8 hours, 10 hours, 5 hours. Give me some odds. You know what I'm saying? 10 to 1.
Yeah, can we bet on this? Can we bet on this?
Yeah,
I mean, Jordan B only needs this much. He'll set the odds now.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. I can't tell if I'm freezing or if Barrett's freezing because I'm at the hospital and my shit is wonky. But Barrett, I heard and I saw that yours was a little. So it's messing with my head with Barrett's freezing up because Harry looks smooth and Barrett may freeze. And I'm thinking, oh, shit, this is me freezing up again.
It's not me. I'm good.
No, Barrett was bad because his grandson was messing with the Wi-Fi.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Was he jacking in an Xbox or something?
Yeah, bro. He's watching YouTube Kids, but then I'm on YouTube. I'm listening to the stuff he had on YouTube's Kids, and it's cussing. I'm like, bro, what are you watching?
No cussing, no fussing, and no back.
We all see it.
Yeah, we all see it. Well, Eytan, I know you got a vent. You didn't get to go on TV today. You were telling us that when you
I was really upset about that.
You're very upset. What I mean, did you lose any bets with Jarek as a result of the results of this series?
No, the 2 bets that I made were before wins. And to be fair, like there wasn't anything right? Because that was Friday night that he was on, that we talked about that game, and they won Friday night.
Right, okay.
So there was never anything like, if I win, I get this. I should have bet him, like, give me my own TV show if I win, right? Something like that.
Exactly.
So, no, I didn't lose any bets with Jarek. I happened to lose a couple of money bets. But, look, I think, honestly, at this point, it's beyond trading Ben Simmons, because that's a must. Like, Ben Simmons can't play here anymore. But, look, neither can Tobias Harris, because that's a contract that is just going to eat you up for not the return that you need. And I hate to say it, but, look, the reality is nobody's going to fire Doc Rivers. But Doc Rivers has to be on the hot seat right now. That hot seat could last 2 years, right? Because Brett Brown got way too much rope, and he should not have been here this long. But here's the biggest thing, right? The biggest thing was, and I'll just equate it. First off, I'm very upset. And it's not just about money. It's just about in general. Like that was an out. We're not on the radio, right?
No.
That was an outright national public fucking embarrassment. And the city was held hostage by these young kids who were smelling their shit. I love it. Look at that. I love it. Perfect.
I figured it was perfect.
They were smelling their shit all year because they were told, oh, you're the MVP, or you're the defensive player of the year, or you're this, or you're that. And they lost to a team that they are more talented than. And spare me about Embiid on a leg and all that. That's not an excuse, because we were giving him props when he was battling through and dropping 39 and 40. It's just a non-factor. Like, I don't even bring up the knee. And look, we said this the last time. Man, he just gets in shape. Man, Ben works on this. They get some help. That whole double doink with Kawhi, they'll be better. They'll be in the final. Look, we were putting this team in the finals. We were putting this team in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they believed it. We can do that. Barrett can tell you that. We can do that. We have every right to put this team in the NBA Finals. It's the people on the field that need to live up to it, on the court, on the ice, that live up. And look, that's what's disappointing about all of this, is that they can live up to it, and they should have lived up to it. But you know what? Now it's 4 straight years in the second round. Yeah. And Doc Rivers adds to his tally of blown leads in the playoffs. And you know what? You have to move Ben Simmons. You have to move Tobias Harris in that contract. And you have to start looking at building around Joel Embiid for the next 3 years. And you know what that means, guys? I'll leave you with this, and then we can talk. I'm just saying, as far as me venting, it means you overpay for 32-year-old veterans who can come in here and win in a year, because Joel Embiid is ready to win right now. The team was not. And I think, honestly, that behind Harry, this is what it was. If we're going to wait for Jalen Hurts, and this is a wait-and-see year for Jalen Hurts, we just got a wait-and-see year with Embiid and Simmons, and guess what? It doesn't work.
It ain't working. Yep, you're right. No, I don't think there's any way they can bring him back. It's interesting you bring up Tobias Harris. He's got to be out too, because how do you think Daryl Morey can move Ben Simmons? Like, you're not going to get. He's not nearly as valuable as he would have been, maybe prior to this season, right?
Right. Yeah, that's what happened with Harden. I mean, they actively tried to deal Ben Simmons earlier in the year with James Harden, and it fell apart. And some of it was just the Sixers were not going to go over the top. But look, now they are. Now the Sixers are the desperate ones. Before it was Houston, desperate to move Harden. Look, we saw that even in the Harden deal. It's very rare that if you move a big name, and I'm not saying Simmons is this guy, but I'm making a point where bigger names and bigger stars, you rarely get even like 80 cents on the dollar back. Yeah. It's a team who's desperate to move a big name for a reason. And very rarely are you getting 80, 85 cents. So I think the only way to mitigate the damage of what you get back for Ben Simmons is to make a big push at somebody and throw Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons in there. Unfortunately for the other team, though, you now have to pay. Think about this. You now have to pay max money to 2 guys to really get you like 1.5 worths of players, because Simmons is always going to kill you on offense. And if Tobias Harris doesn't get you 20 plus points, he's worthless. And if Simmons isn't locking somebody down on the defensive side, he's worthless.
Well, you're right, man. Amazing. I mean, I think I'm past the point with Simmons as far as getting value for him. I think I'm not gonna lie. I like Ben. I like Bryn, what he brings to the table for the most part. But you know, me liking Ben and the expectation of winning are two different things. You know, Ben is a good dude, but Ben needs to, you know, take ownership of what he's not doing, and he's not doing that. And that's where the problem lies, and that's why I say he has to go. It's not because of Ben or who Ben is. It's what Ben refuses to do. And that's acknowledge that he has a problem, that he doesn't shoot enough, and for him to keep milking it like, all right, you know, I bring others. No, I don't want to hear that other stuff to the table. That's all a crock. Yeah. Give me what the NBA is about, and that's scoring. The days of the defenders is over. Nobody's paying Dennis Rodman, Ben Wallace, and those guys max contracts for playing defense. You know, they gave you max contract because they want you to score more, and he didn't.
Yeah, they were going to lose him. Yeah. And they were concerned that they were going to lose him, so they had to pay him max money. And you're right, man. Like, think about when you're applying the money here and you're looking at the whole scene with what Ben Simmons is. The biggest microcosm that can be boiled down was that business decision he made last night. And they ripped him on the broadcast for it because he had a wide open dunk, really. And instead, he tried to make some sort of like dish off to Thibault. And Thibault's like, well, shit, if nobody's going to do it, then I'll do it. And he took it to the rack. But like that right there is ultimately where Ben Simmons is thinking something. And I don't know if he's thinking like, oh, I'm just going to make the extra play, like to make the flash, or if he's just genuinely concerned about the contact and going to the line. But you know what? Either way, that's a problem. Well, nobody does that in the NBA, man. Nobody. No.
He said in the post game, you can choose to believe him or not, that he thought Collins was behind him and was going to possibly block him, I guess. Like, so what? So what? You know?
Right. Right. And speaking of Collins, is there a bigger, like, I don't think I've ever seen a bigger middle finger stuck out to where he shows up in the post-game interview with a T-shirt of him dunking on Embiid in South Philadelphia. Like, that wasn't in Atlanta. This was post-game, him down in the court and him wearing that shirt. And it's just like, man, does that not sum everything up right now, which is that these guys came in, and once again, they came in smelling their own shit.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Look at the two of them, man. I mean, Trae Young and Collins. I hate them, but I love them.
Don't forget Herder.
Herder. Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, I love them and I hate them.
I got to ask you before we let you go, and appreciate a couple minutes here at the hospital.
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.
How did you do with your golf bets? You know, your wagering on the U.S. Open. So, I actually beat DeChambeau on the back nine yesterday. I shot 42. He shot 44.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And I'm sure the rougher was a little tougher at your spot, too.
It's pretty bad.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Here's the thing. So we're going to bring him on. He's a great dude, Max. I work with him at the other site. And he's a sharp when it comes to golf. And I think you guys will definitely get along. Great baseball guy, too. So we can talk a lot about the Phillies and why they're dog shit. But I tailed him on a Louis bet. So $20 to win 800. This was, I think, day 2, maybe. It wasn't to start the tournament. Okay. So I was watching this Louis bet. Now we hit a bunch of top 20s. We hit 3 top 20s. I hit Morikawa and Bryson top 10, and then also so this is what I did. Louis, right? We wanted to hedge Louis, and I was just like, all right, I don't know what to do. So this was before Rahm. This was when Rahm was still down a stroke. I got him at plus 125, and I just hammered him like 10 units and was just like, all right, let's go.
Nice.
So look, the Louis bet was $20 to win 800, right? So clearly these things are small shots in the dark, but the one that I was able to hedge at least was Rahm. And look, that was amazing. You know, I was watching that before we went in there. The Sixers game was a little difficult watching here last night, but that was amazing theater just to watch the ending of that.
Yeah, he birdied 17 and 18. He gives you a
Amazing.
big fist bump and
huge putt too. What was that like 18 feet? He knocked in right to.
Yeah, I think so. And he was in the bunker. He got up and down from that bunker. It was amazing stuff. Great weekend
it was
of golf.
A lot of fun, man. Over the weekend, it was definitely like the Sixers was the big drag, but it was a lot of fun. And my God, the Clippers,
Like, how about that?
This is amazing, right?
And that goes against the Doc resume too, doesn't it?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Now look, CP3's out, so we'll see what happens when he comes back in.
They won game one without him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I mean, where this thing could be over fast, and we may now see. I don't know, man. It is bizarre, but
I know the NBA is hating the teams in the East right now.
Oh, I know.
Milwaukee and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Kevin freaking Herter.
They could have had Brooklyn and Philly, and now they got Milwaukee and Atlanta.
Seriously, you're right.
I hate to do it.
Look, here's the thing too. Like, this is another thing, and I'll leave you with this just a couple of thoughts about next year. A lot of what happened this year was guys getting hurt. Brooklyn lost because guys got hurt.
Yep.
Right. Denver had Jamal Murray out.
The Lakers.
Exact. Kawhi Leonard is out. And we'll see what happens. Guys got hurt. Guess what? All right. Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. That shit works. Yeah. All right. When these guys come back next year, that's going to be scary because you're not going to see 2 to 3 guys down for a significant period of time. So the Sixers thinking oh, yeah, let's just run it back. Nonsense.
No.
You're going to get beat worse than you did this year.
Yeah, this was the opportunity, man. The road, it was just a paved highway to the championship.
Everything's
so disappointed.
Place,
man. Yeah, me too, man.
So, aren't you angry though too? You know what it is too? It's like I want to. I don't know, man. It's like it's so easy when something goes well for this team. It's so easy to get behind Joel Embiid and just be like, "What an awesome story! It's great, it's great." And when things go bad, I don't know why, because I'm like you guys now, where I just want to put all my negative attention on Simmons and Harris too. But I'm just like, get this out of my face. Get out of this city. Go away.
In game 6, I don't know if you guys were thinking this. I'm thinking he's fouling just so he can get off the court. That's where I am with this guy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It has to come in your head at this point.
Yeah.
Look,
I mean,
it's amazing. And you know what it is? Honestly, think of this. If he shot 65 to 70% from the line, which is going to take time. That's not one off season. That's 2 years worth of time. And people here may not have the patience, and I don't blame you. But if that guy, look, this is what ultimately is going to happen. I'll tell you this. In Philadelphia fashion, what's going to happen is Simmons is going to go out to LA or somewhere closer to LeBron. Somebody's going to get to him. And the next 3 years, he's going to turn into a 70%, 65% free throw shooter, which is enough, mind you, to put up 18, 20 a night, because he'll then go to the line. And we're going to be sitting here are you serious? Are you serious?
Only us.
What
only
happened?
Us.
Yep. It's destined. It's destiny. That's what's going to happen.
Until then, he's shit from offense because of the free throws. It's dude, one thing would change you. One thing would change.
Most athletes do that, though. Most athletes here in Philadelphia do that. I myself, I left here and went and played other places
yesterday.
And
Rob Ellis and Marcus Hayes brought you up as a guy as a guy who played here 1 year, and it wasn't working to what the Eagles thought when you stepped in right away. So true Eagles fashion, they gave up on you.
Wow.
And they said, nah, he's not worth the second round pick. Let's just keep it moving. And next thing you know, you're winning a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
That's what happens.
That's a nah-da-da right there.
Yeah. But I heard the fellas talking about it.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. I thought at first he was talking about Brandon Brooks, and he's like, oh, yeah, Barrett did. And they were talking about second round. And who went down? The tackle went down, right?
Yeah, Bernard Williams.
Bernard Williams.
Smoking weed.
That's right.
Stop smoking weed.
It's a wonder
they didn't say that on the show.
It's a wonder
that we get that here on the middle.
It's a wonder that Robbie E didn't try to ring up Barrett and bring him on the show when they were talking about him.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Barrett probably ghosted him.
No. He knows he called it. No. I don't ghost anybody, man. I don't ghost anybody.
The show before you. Well, the show before that was talking yesterday about Bob, Breakfast on Bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and how great of a show that was. That was it was Reuben Frank and Ray Diddy. And Ray Diddy was just, now Rube was too, but Ray Diddy was effusing praise on the program.
Well, I mean, it's not bad when you're going to work with Jillian every day. I mean, things
could be worse.
Right. 4:00 in the morning, even a rollers and hair Jillian is better than just me by myself. You know what I mean?
That's not
there
bad.
were many times I was showered and ready to go at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. But I'll tell you, when I knew I was on that show, sitting next to her, you could not afford to be that one person on set.
You need deodorant, you need a little cologne, you need the whole deal.
Everything, just to stay up.
Yeah.
I said, look, hey man, I need you to come on my show, man. Come on my show, man. He's like, what? Oh, without a doubt. What time do you need me there? I said 5 o'clock. Whoa. No, I'm still there. I'm still there. You on TV? Oh, yeah, I'll do it.
All right, Eytan, we appreciate you checking in, man. Keep us updated, with
you guys
progress.
Look like everything's going well here, right?
So far.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, you're in good hands with Xander too. So
we'll see how much we have left in us. We're going to be doing some Eagles stuff on OT. We got Kevin Kincaid coming up at 12:30. There he is. Yeah.
What up?
He's checking in. He's got the pollen. The people on the stream were asking if he's going to check in from the home and if he's going to be covered in pollen dust.
No, I painstakingly went out here and I cleaned all of it up. It was disgusting. It's like just green slime everywhere, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Horrible.
All right. Well, we got to take a break here in a bit, and we'll 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll get your thoughts on this horrific meltdown by our 76ers and a whole lot more. I know Crossing Broad has been all over it, man. So we'll take a brief timeout. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And punch that like button for JAKIB Media Sports, The Middle.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
Attention women of South Jersey and the Delaware Valley. Sign up right now with Our Lady NRA instructor Nayara Andrzak, who will teach you gun safety as part of this 3-hour safety class, which is being held at Delaware Valley Sports Center in Philadelphia. For information, drop an email to info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. That's info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. Learn the fundamentals at Delaware Valley Sports Center. You can't miss.
Are you looking for a place to track your action, purchase picks, and share your sports betting analysis with the gambling community? Check out JAKIB Sports, a social media platform with an unparalleled experience catered for the sports betting community. On the JAKIB Sports app, you can track all your NFL, NBA, and college basketball picks while getting real-time updates and injury reports all in one convenient place. Start building your following today and stand out amongst your friends by downloading the JAKIB Sports app on the Apple and Google Play stores. Let's cash some tickets and put it on Book It.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. Doc and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at IBEW98.org.
Welcome back to The Middle. Harry Mays, Barrett Brooks. Just heard from Eytan live from the hospital. Finally got his connection fixed and gave us some great updates on his situation. His wife's still not even really in labor yet, Barrett. And of course, we're joined by Kevin Kincaid from Crossing Broad, and you got to follow him on Twitter. He's fantastic at Kevin_Kincaid, spelled Kinkead. But Barrett and Eytan said that Ben Simmons may be traded before his wife gives birth. Your thoughts?
That's pretty good, man.
I'm just glad that you opened this segment by telling me that that's what was going on, because I was about to make a joke about Eytan not showing up on his own show during like the big after a Game 7. I was like, what are we like handing out vacation willingly here? No, but that's good. So I'm glad I didn't stumble into that mistake.
No, but he did have to miss 2 TV hits this morning, and he's not happy about it.
Well, listen, I mean, he does, how many media hits does he do in a day? Like 17, 18?
I think about 17,
There'll be plenty more for where that came from, yeah. But
he's a machine, isn't he, man?
Yeah, he really
Well,
is.
that's my name. My name's the machine, so he can't hurt. He can't hurt.
Well, look, you write and you do hits, right?
Yeah. It's like a term of endearment, and then it just sort of stuck. So here we are. The content isn't always good, but it's machine-like, so that's kind of the... Now, listen, if Daryl Morey's not... I mean, I hope he's considering trade scenarios for Ben Simmons, because it's just I mean, what more do you need to see?
I know.
So, and I hate to say, because it's like man, that was a tough tightrope to walk, trying to be fair, trying to call that reasonably, trying to point out all the great things that he does,
right?
And not getting sucked into that argument where, man, it seemed like the opinions on Simmons were so far on both sides of the spectrum, people bending over backwards to talk about the things he does well versus some of the types who were like, well, just shoot the jump shot, when he was always a complicated guy with a unique skill set who created a lot of schematic and tactical wrinkles that were very complicated, at the end of games. And, the manifestation of that ultimately was it came down to what we said on this show the last couple times I've been on, even when I went on with you and Eytan, Harry, in the past, was just, fourth quarter, half court, needing to generate offense. His skill set is just incongruent with what's required for that point in time. So, now you've had 3 second-round exits in 4 years. What more do you need to see? There can be no run it back.
No, they can't. And you have always been fair in your assessments of him, and you're a man of nuance, which is why we love to bring you on the show.
I appreciate that,
because that's not what our sports arguments are in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
In the past, no matter you name the athlete or the head coach, whoever it is, it's this side or this side. There's never any sort of common ground or in between where you can acknowledge, yeah, he is a great defender. He's a tremendous facilitator. He's got incredible vision, and he's athletic and all these kind of things. But, you have to, like, people were so willing to sort of explain away the but because he was such a great defensive player. And it's like, in this league, you've got to have some of both.
Yeah. And, it comes down to the fourth quarter where there's only 10 guys on the floor. There's 5 on your team. It's hard to hide one of those dudes. I mean, even look at everything that Seth Curry did in this series. The Hawks were hunting him mercilessly in that game. So even another weakness for another teammate was exploited seriously too. So, it's hard to hide that stuff. And Ben's limitations were very specific, and pragmatism's tough. Like, it's hard to walk the line. It doesn't sell very well. It's easier to just shout about one thing or the other. Negadelphia is very easy. Posidelphia is very easy too, because you just, put your fingers in your ears and just pretend like you're not hearing any stuff that is valid, So, but more than any of that, we now have like bulk evidence. We have enough film. We have enough seasons of doing this where it's like, I don't know what more you need to see. Right. And you just get to a situation, Harry, where it's like, it feels Carson Wentz-like to me, not anything that has to do with on-field or on-court stuff, but just the fact that it feels like the connection between city and player is irreparably broken.
Right.
And even if they bring him back next year and he, says, hey, I'm shooting jump shots, I'm doing this, even if they had a different coach or whatever, I don't know. I don't think you can convince people that there's any coming back from this, And so I agree with them. I mean, it's probably a mutually beneficial thing. It's like Markelle Fultz. It's like Ben Simmons. It's like anything where a guy's time just runs its course.
And I think that's what it is. I think his time has run its course because teams know how to, when you're playing a 7-game series, you're going to figure out what you can do and what you can't do. And that's exactly what the Hawks did. I mean, McMillan outcoached Doc. And at this point, looking at Doc, and, you know, his resume is saying this, and he showed it again in this game, not past the second round. But, I mean, just the little things as far as not putting Maxey in after seeing what he did last week, the last game, and the spark that he gave the team, the facilitator of the game, he got offense going. He started the break. Those are things that transitional basketball that made this team better, and he didn't even play him in the fourth quarter. I mean, to me, I think that's the worst thing he could have done is not get his kid an opportunity to at least be a spark plug for this team.
When that was exactly what won you game 6, you know, after the debacle of, you know, telling me, you know, like basically like mocking me and saying, why would I take Ben Simmons off the floor? You know, and then he takes Ben Simmons off the floor and they win the game in game 6 doing exactly that. So it's like that, you know what it is, Barrett? It's like this marginal fine-tuning rotational stuff. Like you can just say, I mean, you cannot go 10 deep in game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Like you just can't do it. It should never come down to that in the first place. You know, in the Toronto series 2 years ago, Brett Brown played 2 minutes of Greg Monroe, right? With famously a -9. James Ennis got like 14 minutes and Mike Scott got 11 minutes. Other than that, the starters didn't come off the floor.
Right.
You know, and I know that Joel Embiid is limited. He's got the knee injury, but this is it. Like there ain't another game after this. You know, like where is the urgency and the understanding that like there is nothing beyond this, you know? And I know that, you know, with Doc and Daryl Morey, okay, this is your first year here, but you have to understand that the totality of the process and the seasons that came before you factor into how people are feeling and how your guys are playing. Exactly. So he can't come out and say after the game, Barrett, like, well, I don't want to turn this season into a negative because we had a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's like that famous Chris Rock skit. It's like you're supposed to, like you were supposed to go there. That's what the expectation was. And I know it's tough to come into that as a first-year head coach and a first-year GM, but that's the reality of the situation. People don't want to hear that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you look at these other game 7s, like the Suns and the Clippers. You look out how short, you know, some of the benches were in that Brooklyn and Milwaukee game. I mean, it was like there's 7 guys basically that played.
And Doc was telling us all year long, whenever anybody asked about Ben Simmons, and look, I'm going to be 100% honest, Doc got a lot of easy stuff this year. He didn't get a lot of hard questions from the media. And really, there wasn't a reason to do that because they were first place and they were playing well. Everything was on Zoom. There was no in-person stuff. Okay, so he didn't have Howard Eskin up there challenging him. You know, he didn't have anybody, you know, asking him hard but fair stuff. I mean, everything that was asked was reasonable. Anytime somebody brought up Ben Simmons, it was like, I'm not worried about that. I'm focused on this. I want him to focus on what he does well. He's a treasure. He's blah, blah, blah. He's all that stuff. And I get it. All right, you're not going to throw your guy under the bus. Like, you're going to try the opposite of the psychology that they tried with Brett Brown. Brett Brown asked for more from him. Evidently, I have failed. Remember that famous quote about getting him to shoot 3-pointers? Evidently, I've failed. So Doc Rivers tried the opposite approach and tried coddling him, and that didn't work either.
Right.
But we weren't going to get mad at Doc Rivers because we understood what he was doing. You know, philosophically, like, look, let's just leave the guy in his comfort zone, throw 100% support behind him and see if it works that way. It didn't work that way. And it didn't work Brett's way either. So if it doesn't work either two of those ways, there's no other way to go.
Right.
Other than trading him. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you know, I'm not going to ask you to tell us exactly because it's hard to figure this out, but what kind of value does he have? Like,
I think it's higher than people realize because he's still young. All of the other pieces of his game are there. I mean, if you look at it from the standpoint of it's mental and it's not any kind of physical limitation, you can sell yourself on the idea that maybe we can get him to shoot. Look at the Summer League video of him shooting 20-footers out there. Like, it's there.
What happened to that guy?
It's all there. I don't know. But if you're like convincing yourself, Harry, that something is like innately in there and it's just a matter of pulling it out, you know, by tweaking him mentally or whatever, then you could convince yourself there's still a lot of upside there. He's not a broken player. You know, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's all up here, and he admitted that, you know?
Well, that's what being broke is. And, you know, and understanding you limit yourself. You limit yourself by being in your own head. And man, that's a hard box to get out of. That's just like when I was a player, you know, I got labeled after my 8th year, I got labeled being a backup. So for 4 years, I played as a backup because they labeled me a backup.
Yeah.
Even though I was better than people that was in front of me, I was still labeled a backup. Oh, we don't need to start Brooks. We got somebody that can, the young guy that can play. He's an older guy, so he just bring him in. We can pay one guy. They can just pay me, and I'll play 2 positions or 3 positions on the field, so they could dress 2 other guys.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. He's been labeled as a guy that doesn't shoot jumpers. So what do? You work on it. So I worked on trying to be a starter, and it kept me in the league because it kept me competitive. You don't know what you don't know unless you try it, and he just refuses to try it.
Yeah, and sometimes that point in a specific location or city hits its natural finite end, and you just need a change of scenery, a mental escape, maybe go to a smaller market, just a total change of it. Yeah, he's gonna get ran through here. They will be on him ungodly, they will be ruthless on him. He will get booed if he comes back to Philly. Isn't it funny though, Barrett, how a lot of at the end of this, assuming that it is the end, there was a lot of similarities to the Markelle Fultz thing. It's like you knew that stuff was in there. I mean, he's going up to the free throw line and they're clapping like it's like tennis, okay, we're gonna cheer you to make a free throw. That's how bad it got, because you knew that so I don't want to ever hear and people are gonna try this inevitably, and they're gonna say, well, some idiot's going to say they ran Ben Simmons out of town. They did not run Ben Simmons out of town. They didn't run Carson Wentz out of town. They didn't run Markelle Fultz out of town. These guys were standing there cheering for the guy to make a foul shot. So we can defeat that narrative before it even starts, But
it's almost like we're apologists.
Oh yeah, I know. I've never seen. I was sitting there. I was in the stands when Markelle Fultz when that happened with Fultz, when he was shooting the free throws. And then I sitting there thinking to myself, I've never heard a Philadelphia crowd do anything like this in my entire life. Yeah. That should defeat forever the idea that we're boorish Neanderthal morons, because here we are throwing unconditional support behind a guy who's just trying to shoot a free throw.
We were like an emotional support animal for some of these guys.
I know, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. The most blue collar, hardworking, lunch pail, emotional support dog that you could have.
Right.
And so that, to me, that was a turning point where it's we are not the same fan base that we used to be.
Bro, I was on the field with the for who, for what, and I was in the locker room when it happened, when he said it. And I can remember I'm sitting there because this locker was right across from mine, and he said, for who? For what? We were losing the game.
Yeah.
And I remember that I look, I say, what?
Yeah. All right. Well, since you brought up Markelle Fultz, I mean, that makes me think of the overall process.
Yeah.
Where are you with that whole thing right now? Now that we're sitting here thinking that Ben Simmons is probably going to have to get moved. Who knows what happens with Tobias Harris? It all boils down to, what do we have? We have Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it always was. It was about maximizing the tightest Joel Embiid window you have. It really wasn't long ago when people were going on Twitter and doing those polls. Who would you rather build around?
Who do you want to build around? Yeah,
Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid? And the topic. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Yeah, but it wasn't unfounded at the time. Because Joel was having a ton of injury trouble. He was a little older. You knew that his window was always going to be tighter than Ben's window. So. Really where you're at right now as of 6/21/21 is trying to maximize the remaining window that you have with Joel Embiid. Everything else is expendable. Nothing else matters, as Metallica once said. Right. So you gotta shoot for that. And even if you don't have to trade Ben Simmons for Jonathan Simmons like they did with the Markelle Fultz thing, but I think Portland would do the McCollum trade. I think Sacramento might get in there, because Portland's a team too that's they're kind of stuck in the same rut with the same roster too. Yeah. And you do a like for like swap, what
about Dillard?
It works out. What about who?
What about Lillard? What about Lillard instead?
I don't know if that. Well, I mean, I think that depends on how individually disgruntled he is or he isn't. But if they end up sticking with him, then McCollum is. I think McCollum's gets a little bit buried up there on how good he is, because they're out there in La La Land in the Northwest, and Lillard's really good. So I think people sleep on him a little bit, but you got enough Western Conference teams that are in rebuild mode that might take a swing at a guy like Ben Simmons and try to make it work. I don't think it's crazy to think that you'd be able to get something decent for him, but it has to happen. We've got enough evidence to say that what they've done in the last couple of years just ain't it.
It's funny. A couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we were looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves with Karl Anthony Towns and some of the other young players that they had, as saying that's what the Sixers are going to be next year. And now, the Timberwolves are trash. The Sixers are probably going to have to retool it again. And the Atlanta Hawks of all teams, like John Clark brought up, they jumped the line. Yeah. They just went right in front of you. It's amazing.
Can I say something on a macro level about the process? I always felt, because I didn't really join the Sixers beat until 2017, right? But I was at Channel 3 before that. So me and Yuki Washington and Don Bell watched a lot of those terrible process games, right? And I think the divisive nature of the rebuild, because you were either really, really for it, like a hinky guy, or you were really, really against it, it just made the justification of it result in these crazy expectations where you just had people say, you're going to tank for 3 years. I mean, it's championship or bust, or Eastern Conference Finals or bust, So you have a guy like Ben Simmons who comes out, he misses his first year through injury. His first season is like playoffs or bust. This team's they got to win a ring in order to justify all the losing that they did. It created such a terrible environment that it was probably justified though. Like the expectations for what they did were probably justified, but that is a ridiculously hard environment to play in when you're a guy like Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid coming back from injury. I mean, think about, like, you have these teams that, like, when they're kind of turning a corner, they have that fun transitional year where there's no expectations really, but you see a lot of great things and people are excited about
it. Like the Eagles now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Eagles now.
Yeah. And then people
Sixers,
start
that was
projecting
16,
like
17.
Oh, in 2 years, it's going to be our year,
Yeah. But you have to have that like in between year to have fun and kind of like take the there's no expectations there right away. But these guys with the process, because of how divisive it was, I just felt like they came into the NBA with this weight of this like crushing expectation on their shoulders.
Yeah, and he crumbled under it. At this point, Ben is just mentally, I don't know if he's mentally strong enough to come back here. He was mentally strong enough to finish his playoffs out. So let alone come back another year with the fan base like this. It just might not be productive enough for him to come back unless he changes to another different player and becomes a shooter, because this fan base is such that you just can't sugarcoat it. This is one of the I played in front of Detroit, Green Bay, New York Giants, and the Steelers, and those are lofty expectations for Pittsburgh. If you don't make it there, they'll get you out of here, but they'll try to work with you. Ben is not trying to work with anybody. Even Big Ben, Roethlisberger, he had it where, he won early, but then hit a little lull, but they helped him. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to help himself. He's not helping himself. And that's the problem.
And I think the thing that kills me, guys, is that like when you go back and look at the totality of this season, being the number 1 seed, Boston stunk. Miami was a big disappointment. The Knicks stunk. The Pacers, who were kind of a pain in the butt, they stunk. Brooklyn, all the injuries they had led to you getting the number 1 seed. Milwaukee was on the other side of the bracket. You will not get an easier path to the finals than this.
It was a freeway to the finals.
20 years, the biggest cakewalk.
A freeway to the finals.
Yeah, and I don't want to disrespect the Atlanta Hawks because they got some players, but there is no way on God's green earth that they should have lost to that team. Losing three games at home. You got to be kidding me. They are not. They will never. I went on Twitter and there's like 1,000 like retweets for this thing, but I was not exaggerating. Like it may very well be like 20 years before they get some kind of path like that. You literally can. And add to the fact that LeBron was out.
Right.
Okay. There was no dominant team in the Western Conference.
Clippers, no Kawhi.
Probably never have a better path.
Yeah.
Than they had this year, and they blew it.
Yeah. I mean, not even close, man. They didn't have to play the Bucks. The Nets beat the Bucks.
Not until the finals. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And everything just. I
mean, you're going to tell me that all we got to do is beat the Wizards and the Hawks in a 7-game series that we have home court advantage in, and in Game 7 after we lost 2 other home games, Trae Young's going to shoot 5 for 23 from the field, and we're going to lose that game.
And the Atlanta
Horner
Hawks
wasn't even a starter.
And the Atlanta Hawks are down DeAndre Hunter. Right. Nobody even like talked about that. Okay, Atlanta's missing a freaking starter who played well in the Knicks series too. Like you take like the you could be like the ancient like Mayans or the Aztecs or something and wait for the perfect like time that only happens once every 1,000 years for like the sun to align with like the moon or whatever the hell you want to call it. And like the astrology, this basketball astrology only like happens like once every 10,000 years. So that's the ultimate disappointment to me.
And they blew it.
Well, I think Ben at this point, Ben has become the Nelson Aguilar of the team. So is he going to do what Nelson did? Now Nelson went and had a pretty good season somewhere else, but still, you know, I see this as just like he ran his course here in Philadelphia. Nelson Aguilar, he went through the yips, the drops, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I see he went on, became a pretty solid receiver. I see Ben is going to do the same thing. He's going to become a pretty solid, but he's a max. But we can't get past the max player, and that's where I can't. That's where I have the mental block, because if he wasn't a max deal player, my expectations would be as such that I wouldn't think he'd have to be a max deal player.
Right.
Because
when you sit there and
think, he has to think like he's a max deal player.
When you sit there and think of like the great defensive players in the NBA over the years, like defensive specialists.
Right.
I don't know. I'll give you like Bruce Bowen, or even
Ben
like a
Wallace.
Patrick Beverly or Ben Wallace or something
Wallace,
like that. Would you have come close to maxing out any of those guys?
No.
Exactly. I don't know. There it is.
Dennis Rodman. Yeah.
Right there.
You look at look at guys like Kawhi Leonard and Michael Jordan, those like just like stout like two-way dudes, like they could do it on both. You can point out all of the things that Ben does well on the defensive end. But then, like Barrett's saying, it's like you don't max that kind of player because we call that a role player,
right?
You know, he's Shane Battier.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I hate being harsh like that, but that's the reality
fact
of the situation. Yeah, you can't avoid that. It's like the other thing is too is like, where do you go with him if he comes back? He's not a power forward. You know, you can't have a power forward in the modern day NBA that can't shoot.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to
imagine if Gallinari couldn't shoot. Yeah. You know, so. You see his limitations at point guard. He's not a center. When they play small ball five, he's not a rim protector. Like they struggle with that. So you've already traversed every avenue that there is. They played a motion offense with Brett Brown, where there was a lot of DHOs and zipper cuts and things like that. And with Doc, it was more traditional pick and roll, ISO, get out in transition, some of these double drags and things like that. But schematically and tactically, there really isn't. I would be more amenable to Ben coming back if I felt like there was a path that they could go down that they haven't tried yet. But I don't know what you tried that hasn't already been tried. You know,
he's just in transition, going downhill. That's where he's, he can give you something on offense.
We all see it. We
all see it. We see all the. We saw these warts for years.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, look, this makes me mad because you look at a guy like Scottie Pippen that signed the worst deal ever, a trash ass deal. You know what I'm saying? And then Ben's getting a max deal. I ain't hating because the money, man. I would never hate a player on get your money, bro. He got his money, bro. But you gotta give me something, man. You ain't even kiss me, man. You at least kiss me before you just go ahead and just dry hump. Just kiss me, man.
You know what the ultimate frustration was too is that when people would always focus on the jump shot. I said a million times before, I don't always think that the jump shot question was predicated with negativity, because I think a lot of people looked at this guy and they were like, he can pass, he can jump, he can defend, he can run, he can do all of these things. And if he adds the one skill he doesn't have, like, what is his ceiling? He's
LeBron James.
Crazy. Yeah. So I tried saying that to people over the years. Like, you got to understand that when people bring up the Ben Simmons jump shot topic, it's not always coming from a place of negativity. It's like they see like this possible greatness that could be unlocked. And I think that's where the frustration is, because it's like, right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly my thoughts on him for all these years. It's like I loved what he can do. Great. It's just like if he just add this other component, and he doesn't even have to become a 3-point shooter.
No.
Like, that was never part of my argument.
No.
Would you want it? Of course, if you could get it, you'd want it all. But he could be LeBron James.
I mean, just this potential of doing what Embiid did. The biggest jump that Embiid did this year was becoming a very solid free throw shooter. And because of that, he added 10 to 12 points, more points to his game, which made him a dominant player.
Yeah.
If there's nobody else around you, just Ben shoot like nobody else is around you. If he would shoot better than 40%, 50%, then he'd add like 10 extra points to his game.
I know. And you saw, it's funny because and Barrett, you can speak to this, development for players. I think we like to think of it as being linear, whereas year 1, you're going to be this, year 2, you're going to be this, year 3, you're going to be this. And it progresses in like a natural curve. Right. Mm-hmm. But that's not always the case for athletes. Sometimes they can just sort of linger here and then, a light bulb goes off and they take it, so I think that's what we were trying to talk ourselves into with Ben Simmons, was say,
right,
hey, maybe at some point it's just going to it's going to click and he's going to take off, because you saw a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this, but it wasn't like he was offensively developing into anything that was different from year 1. He looks like the same offensive player now that he was back then, So you try to talk yourself then into okay, well, if he shoots better from the free throw line, maybe that extends to the rest of his game. Right. And then that took a step back. So even when you tried to every single path you talked yourself into, every kind of narrative you talked yourself into believing, just none of it came to fruition, All
right, we got about 3 minutes left with Kevin Kincaid. Last thing here. Now that the Sixers are out, are you going to be like the most Philadelphia fans and not watch the rest of the NBA playoffs, or are you in?
I will watch the Eastern Conference Finals because there's just a curiosity of seeing hey, if the Sixers couldn't get it done, how do the Bucks approach it, Mm-hmm. But I am beyond burned out. I am so burned out on the Sixers team that I think I'm going to apply. I'm going to put him for vacation as soon as we get off of this this radio hit right here, because it's been a slog. And I hate to say it, this is the worst part about it, because they had a great season. They won a ton of games. They had a MVP runner-up, a DPOY candidate, and none of it, not a single bit of it was enjoyable, because everybody knew from the beginning it was finals or bust. And, unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation, is that when you keep going and going and going and trying, that's, the expectations are what they are and they're 100% justified. So, maybe we look back in a couple of years and can appreciate the individual season that Embiid had or some of the things that guys did this year. But it's hard to look at it that way right now. It's just hard to do that kind of season as a fan and in the media when that if it ain't this, it's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm. I got to be honest, I've kind of started to like that Hawks team a little bit, man, because they got some players with freaking stones on that team.
Well, and if you told me that they'd lose to the white, the Caucasian ginger, in Game 7 at home, I think that nobody would have expected that. That's the last thing. Here we go, Joe Juravicius,
right?
Kevin Herter.
Yep.
Who are some of the other dudes who have just
we need a Mount Rushmore. That's a great Mount Rushmore.
That is a great Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Friday Mount Rushmore. Random Caucasians who have absolutely killed
Philadelphia sports teams.
Philadelphia sports teams.
We should have a ginger one like that also, man. Redheads that killed this Philadelphia teams.
Yeah. Carson Wentz could go on there too as a
no question. Oh, he's number one. I mean, come on, he's Thomas Jefferson on the Mount Rushmore. Come on, man. Is he on Mount Rushmore, Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Kev. Great stuff as always. We always appreciate your insight, and read him on Crossing Broad. Go there every day and follow him on Twitter at Kevin_Kincaid. Thanks.
All right, fellas. Always a pleasure.
There he is.
Appreciate it, bro. Later,
all right, man. We got to take our final time out, and we have OT on the other side, and we're actually going to talk a little football. I actually stole some content from another great site. I will give them credit when we come back, and we're going to talk some football over-unders with Barrett Brooks and Harry Mays right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
Attention women of South Jersey and the Delaware Valley. Sign up right now with Our Lady NRA instructor, Nayara Andrzak, who will teach you gun safety as part of this 3-hour safety class, which is being held at Delaware Valley Sports Center in Philadelphia. For information, drop an email to info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. That's info@DelawareValleySportsCenter.com. Learn the fundamentals at Delaware Valley Sports Center. You can't miss.
Are you looking for a place to track your action, purchase picks, and share your sports betting analysis with the gambling community? Check out JAKIB Sports, a social media platform with an unparalleled experience catered for the sports betting community. On the JAKIB Sports app, you can track all your NFL, NBA, and college basketball picks while getting real-time updates and injury reports all in one convenient place. Start building your following today and stand out amongst your friends by downloading the JAKIB Sports app on the Apple and Google Play stores. Let's cash some tickets and put it on JAKIB.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. Doc and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at IBEW98.org.
All right, we're back. The middle on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Time for overtime. Harry Mays and Barrett Brooks. And got about 10 minutes here. We're going to get into some football stuff I thought would be fun for Barrett. But just before we say goodbye to the basketball for today, remember, Trae Young was actually drafted by the Dallas Mavericks with the 5th pick in the draft after the Hawks, who were drafting number 1, took Luka Doncic and then traded him. Do you remember that, Barrett? And they took an enormous amount of heat for that, saying, wow, you're crazy. This is a franchise cornerstone player, and you're trading him for this little, skinny little pipsqueak guard. Now look.
Right.
Dallas Mavericks, where are they? And the Atlanta Hawks are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at it, man, that's kind of where the league was going anyways with, guard, shooting guard. Because at that time, Curry was that guy then. He was that dude then.
Yeah. Now, Doncic is an amazing player. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have him.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was kind of interesting. Trae Young's going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and Luka Doncic is playing golf or doing whatever the hell he's doing. All right, so now one thing that I'm really good at, and there's not many things, but I'm good at stealing content. I'm good at mining Twitter, mining podcasts, TV shows, you name it, for good stuff for us to talk about.
You got to know what you're skilled at.
Right. You got to know what you're good at. So I found in the podcast, Bleeding Green Nation Radio's podcast, which is with Brandon Lee Gouton, who's fantastic, covering the Eagles, and Jimmy Kempski, who's also equally fantastic.
My guy, yep.
Those two guys, of course, Jimmy with Philly Voice,
yep.
They came up with the 30 over-unders for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I listened to the first 10 before I had to start doing some other things to get ready for the show. And I got 10 of them here. And I figured in the overtime segments this week, while Eytan is out, we'll go through maybe 2 of them each day, and we'll get these 10. And what do you think about that, Barrett? I'll give you 2 of them today.
All right, shoot it.
All right, their first one involved Jalen Hurts passer rating. The over-under is going to be 87.5. Are you going over or are you going under?
Oh, that's tough, man. Because I think Carson Wentz, when in his heyday, he was like he was at 86 himself. He was at 86. So I might have to go under on that.
You're going under with that.
Yeah, I'm going under. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Let's see, passer rating. If this computer would cooperate. Rating 89.2 is his career average.
Oh, okay. All right. A little bit higher.
Right.
So yeah, I'm still gonna go under. I'm going under because he's still learning.
Yeah.
He has a lot of learning to do, and just he's learning these new receivers also. He has rookie receiver, yeah, they played in college, but it's different at the NFL level. We don't know what Jalen Reagor is. Will J.J. be here? I don't know. And then they have 2 wide receivers from last year that got drafted with Hightower and the other kid. So I'm still going to go under.
And maybe you got Fulgham. Maybe he's still on the roster.
Yeah, Fulgham,
Dallas Goedert's probably going to be your number 1 tight end option. No more Zach Ertz. But we don't even know how much Jalen Hurts is going to work in the tight ends. I mean, Carson Wentz lived on tight ends.
Absolutely.
Right.
They love 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends.
Right. Yeah.
That was their number one personnel package for the last 4 or 5 years. So.
And when is Zach Ertz going to be traded? Have you heard anything over the last couple of days?
There are no takers. I mean, at this point, they're
just waiting for him to be released.
Right. Everybody's just waiting. Yeah.
Somebody wants him.
Yeah, they all want him.
Yeah.
They all want him now. But why trade an asset when you can just get him for free?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and Howie's holding out.
He doesn't have to do it. And he's screwing. Actually, he's really screwing Ertz on this too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ertz is losing out on so much money, so much potential earnings because he's going to have to. If I was Ertz, I would want to stay because he's not going to get $8 million in this market. At the very most, he'll probably get a little bit above
5,
the minimum.
Something.
No, not even that. I'm talking about he might get like 3.5.
Really?
Oh yeah. He's about 3.5 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, he's gonna be cutting almost half from what he's making right now if he stays with the Eagles. If he stays with the Bird.
The money that they gave Joe Flacco, they could essentially have Zach Ertz for.
Yep.
And now you got Nick Mullins. You got $3.5 million to Joe Flacco, and then you go get Nick Mullins. I'd rather have Nick Mullins.
You ain't never lied.
You know what I'm saying?
That is crazy.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
it does.
All right, here's another one. This one revolves around Jalen Hurts as well. And remember, I stole this from Brandon Lee Gouton and Jimmy Kempsky. I'm giving them credit. Hurts's fumbles, 14.5 is the over-under. He was very loose with the football last year. And in limited games, very loose with the ball.
You know what? I'm going to go with the under on that because I think he's going to be a totally different player than what you saw this last year. Considering the fact he has guys in front of him that are capable of blocking somebody who won't be trying to fix their glove when they're supposed to be blocking the defensive end. Not even going back to help his quarterback get up off the ground. You saw Brown last offensive lineman. Brown, the offensive lineman.
Yeah. Who was fixing his glove?
Brown was.
He was?
The offensive line was fixing his gloves while I was looking at his quarterback, the guy that he didn't block.
I missed that.
Yeah, knocked him down, put him on the ground, and he's sitting there looking at him. So he's looking up like this. And he's fixing his gloves, trying to put his gloves in, and didn't go help him. So he got it by himself. Yeah, he got it by himself.
So he didn't even offer an arm to pull him up off the ground?
Nah.
That's terrible.
So yeah. So I believe that he's not gonna be as loose because he'll have more talent around him to help him out. So I'm gonna go with the under.
You're gonna go under. That's a pretty big number.
It's a huge number.
If he is over, that's horrendous.
Right.
Seriously.
That's worse than an interception.
Yeah. Now the stream is doing this and they're going under. For all of these. Under. They're going under for everything. So they're going under for the passer rating. They're going under for the fumbles. Their expectations are way under yours, Barrett. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And by the looks of your screen, I'd say your grandson is back on the Xbox. He's dialed into the.
No, he was actually under my desk.
Oh, he was?
He was drawing a picture and pulled the cord out.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what he did, man. But hey. This little dude, man, he does what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. He is. Oh, I just ordered from Amazon. I promised 20 books from off Amazon, man. And I'm gonna say you're gonna put that damn tablet down and you're gonna read something, boy. I don't have any books to read. I said I'll take care of that.
I'll get you books,
right?
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I like dinosaurs. I got your dinosaur books. I got your car books. I got you bird book. I got all these books for you. You're gonna read something."
Now, does he hang out with you when you're out in the garage working on the car?
Yep, he does.
Yeah.
He hangs out when you're out there. Well, he's mostly talking to me, asking me what. He never stops. He has so many questions. I know people say, well, that's just a young mind and he wants to know everything. But I'm like, damn. This chill for 1 second. No, my grandson, he's gonna keep asking questions. What is this, Pop? Well, what is this over here, Pop? Well, can I help you with this? I'm like, no, you can't. Well, that's fire. Can I touch? No, you can't touch the fire. No, I don't want to touch the fire. I want to touch the thing that makes the. No, you don't want to touch that. Leave it alone. So he's. I'm having the best summer of my life with this kid.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So it was like that was a little Father's Day bonus. Having him around, I guess. Right?
Yeah, it was, man. Because he definitely fulfilled a lot, man. I mean, we went to my daughter had a little party, went to the party. You know, of course, I ended up cooking a little bit anyways. You know, I was supposed to sit down, but I ended up, barbecuing a couple things. And me and my grandson, we sat there, and I had a beer. He said, Pop, what's that? I said, boy, you know what this is. Well, what is it, Pop? It's a beer. This he hit me with. Oh, I know 5-year-olds aren't supposed to have beers, are they, Pop? No, they don't. No. Beers for grown-ups? Yes, beers for grown-ups.
Not until you're 25. Right? Yeah. Forget about 21 even. Oh, that's awesome. I'm thinking about Eytan's kid who's going to be arriving here this week at some point. I think Eytan's son will be talking right out of the womb. Wouldn't that be unbelievable? I mean, it's like
it would be believable because it's his kid.
Right. Comes out, Dada, Mama. He's like already talking.
He's got a beard too.
He's bald with a beard. Oh my God. On that note, I think I gave you the 2 over-unders. You're going under on both the passer rating, right?
Yep. Passer rating.
And the fumbles of 14.5. We'll continue this tomorrow. We got a whole lot more stuff to come in tomorrow. Special guest tomorrow, Michael Bradley with the El Hombre will make another appearance on the show. Everybody loves him. He will be on tomorrow. And Tony Bruno. There's a rumor that Tony Bruno will be making an appearance. And who knows who else? Maybe Amy Fadul. So we're going to have a big show again for you tomorroall. Thanks for listening. Hit the like button.
Before you get off, hold on a second.
Yeah.
My grandson's bringing me a box. Let me see what this box is.
Okay.
Hold on.
We just opened it so accident.
Hey,
look at this. Look at this. Is that the book?
You guys think I lied.
Is that the book? The dinosaur book. There it is. Nice.
I got it. I told you I wasn't playing, bro.
Oh man, you're not. Wow.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, man.
All right, we'll chat at you tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and see you tomorrow.
Are you looking for a place to track your action, purchase picks, and share your sports betting analysis with the gambling community? Check out JAKIB Sports, a social media platform with an unparalleled experience catered for the sports betting community. On the JAKIB Sports app, you can track all your NFL, NBA, and college basketball picks while getting real-time updates and injury reports all in one convenient place. Start building your following today and stand out amongst your friends by downloading the JAKIB Sports app on the Apple and Google Play stores. Let's cash some tickets and put it on Book It.